Hello everyone, and welcome to our session today on making Power BI a reality for your business with Jet Analytics. Joining us today is Mike Hoffman from Jet Global. And before I pass it over to Mike, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library later this week for you to review and share with anyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box. We will get them answered at the end of the presentation. And so now I will pass it over to Mike to kick off our presentation.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Angie, and thanks, Innovia, as a whole for having me today. And thanks, everybody, for being here. It's a very topic near and dear to my heart, but it's also a very relevant topic. Power BI is definitely mainstream, if there is a such thing. And in this day and age, making things work and having actionable items through analytics and reporting is very important to business. So I'm very excited about our topic today. I know we have quite a few folks on here as well. And so as Angie was mentioning, if you have questions, feel free to basically type them in the questions box. If I have an opportunity to answer them as I'm going throughout the presentation, I will do my best to do so. I have the chat open here as well. And so there's a couple of handouts as well. One is in the chat box itself, which is an interactive dashboard. And as we get further in the presentation, it might make sense to kind of open that up. And then also a handout on a high-level overview of what we're going to be covering today. And so without further ado, really, this is our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about Jet Global, just in case you've never heard of us. We are formerly known as Jet Reports. We are now Jet Global because we do much more than just reporting. Talk a little quick story, background as far as like why we're here today, why this topic is so relevant, and then we're going to hop right into what is Power BI. There's 5 really key misconceptions that we hear whenever we're traveling to conferences or to marketplace events, and so we'll dispel some of those myths. And it's equally as important as to talk about what Power BI is. We want to make sure that it's very clear what it is not, right? And then also just kind of background on what is BI. And then the demonstration itself hopefully will be more than just 5 minutes, although it is very, very easy and simple to build out these dashboards once you get a feel for what it is we're talking about. But that's the agenda. I'm going to try to spend as much time in the demonstration as possible. So I'm going to get right into who we are. Who I am a channel manager for Jet Global. We're out here on the West Coast in Portland, Oregon. So it's a little bit earlier for me than it is for you. You're getting ready to go to lunch, and hopefully I can give you a little bit of that time back. But we are headquarters here in Portland, Oregon. Now, albeit we are all over the world. We have customers in 94 different countries. And so the short and sweet answer to what we do is we deliver data in a controlled and governed environment that allows you to make impactful decisions to drive your business. That's always who we've been. Back when we started in 2002, it was Excel reporting, it was financials, and it was for really the masses. And so it took off, and we've grown into much more than that. And so the 2 most important pieces for you to take away from this, because I know working here, right, why it's important to talk about the amount of customers that we have and the size of the business, because it's been vetted and used over time, which is part of the reason why Innovia has us here today, is it's a vetted, trusted solution. But I just want you to know you've made an investment into the Microsoft technologies, right? And so when you look at a company like Jet, just know your investment is safe when you're looking at a company like Jet, because it's very much tied into the Microsoft stack, into Excel, into Dynamics Nav, into all of the things that you've already invested time and materials into. We keep and couple that investment you've made well into the future. We have a very strong roadmap with Microsoft, and again, we do much more than just reporting. So this is something that is a slide. So we've been asked to present on this topic at various events, and we're always going to get a feel for how people are doing with Power BI. And so the reason that this is a quick story is I'm just going to let you know what we've seen. Can't necessarily do it through a webinar, but when we're up in front of the room and we're asking people, how many people have heard of Power BI? I don't know if there's a single hand in the audience that isn't up. Someone's heard of it. Microsoft has done an amazing job of marketing Power BI, and it's great. Like, again, we love Power BI. The next question is, how many have installed it? Probably 40% of the room has actually installed it. They have it on their desktop, and they are aware of it more than just hearing about it. And then when we ask the meaningful question, which is, are you generating information that's actionable? Does it make sense? Do you actually see value in what you're doing in Power BI? And honestly, there's maybe one hand up in the room, and they're a developer most of the time. And, that's a very consistent story throughout our time of being asked to do this over the last 2-3 years. And again, the reason is there's a little confusion in the marketplace about what is Power BI and what is it intended to do. And so just to be clear, this this blurb came directly from Microsoft. And so what they say is it's a cloud-based analytics service that enables anyone to visualize and analyze data with greater speed, efficiency, and understanding. Connects users to a broad range of data through easy-to-use dashboards, interactive reports, and compelling visualizations that bring data to life. So let's break that down for a second. So what it's saying is it allows people to visualize information. It connects to various data sources, and again, visualizations. And so what the overarching theme here is it's used to visualize information. It will connect into a specific data source and allow you to pull that information into a visualization platform. And so when I go to like a presentation on Power BI from someone who's kind of a whiz, actually, they're very good with Power BI. A lot of the times, this is what I'm seeing is something that's already built out in the background. So they've already connected to the data source. They've already grabbed the information that's relevant. And now I have the luxury of coming in and being able to kind of slice and dice that information. And again, if you look in chat, we have something very similar through that link whenever you have a chance, where you can really just kind of go and slice and dice the information and analyze the data. And so it's already built out. And so that's what Power BI is, really at its core. And so let me hit the next slide here. So again, there's a few different versions of Power BI. You have the free version, which is really the desktop version is what it's called. You have Power BI Pro, which is $10 roughly per user per month, depending on where you're located in the world. And then you have Premium, which is $60,000 plus a year. It is meant for most of the time very large organizations where they're going to be spending more than that on a per user basis. And so, to be honest, that's really where most people fall, is right in the middle, right? $10 per user per month. They want the ability to not think of the free version as like a basic or limited version, meaning you're going to get a taste of it. You're going to experience it. There's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with it, but it's not meant to do what you're looking for in most cases when you're downloading Power BI, which is sharing dashboards, being able to create data and post that information out to your end users for consumption or to an executive team. right? It's intended for local use, and that's really it. And so Power BI Pro, that's really where most people land. Okay. And so, again, as a summation, what is Power BI? Excellent data visualization tool, easy access from dashboards inside the web or on a mobile device, and it's a low cost of ownership. I mean, we're talking $10 per user per month. So being able to actually have access to Power BI, they've made it very, very easy and simple for someone to have access to this data visualization tool. And in my opinion, it is the best data visualization tool on the market. Okay. And so might sound a little confusing as to why I'm saying all this, but again, the intent is that there's a connection here between Jet and Power BI, and we'll get to that. But we're going to start with our 5 key misconceptions about Power BI to lay a foundation for you to understand the reasons as to why you wouldn't just want something like Power BI on its own. So misconception number 1 is it works on its own. You don't need anything else. And so when we use the word works, what we're talking about is it's going to be an end-to-end type solution for your entire business. And so really what it does require is knowledge of the information. So when any time you were connecting directly to a system, the burden that's traditionally put on that end user is having to understand the data structure. And so when someone's going to create a dashboard, they need really 2 specific skills if they're using Power BI. One is that itself, knowledge of the system, and the other is coding. They need to have some database management background. There's actually a completely new language, DAX coding, that is used for Power BI. And so if we're also, thinking of how do we scale that, you're probably going to need multiple folks because the idea of getting bottlenecked within those requests does become a reality pretty fast. Number 2, content pack from Microsoft is all you need to get up and running. Although they are good, they are eerily similar to what I spoke on earlier about the presentations we go to, where we connect to the system ahead of time. We create a dashboard ahead of time, but it's not really actionable. And what I mean by that is every business is unique and you're measuring something different. And so those content packs are created off of a standard implementation. And so if you have some changes or things that you want to be made, it's not quite scalable with the business itself unless you do, like, kind of back to number 1, where you have a developer who can actually do that for you. Misconception number 3 is Power BI can do financial statements. I chuckle at this because that's probably the fastest one that people realize is when we're talking about like a financial statement or something that I actually want to bring to a month end or year end closing meeting, we're not going to have like a income statement or a P&L in data visualization format. I mean, it's going to be as drill downable as you can, and Excel is the tool for that. It's a universal agreement. Accountants and CFOs alike, Excel is around and it's not going anywhere. And so being able to do financial statements within Power BI is just not really a reality. Number 4, business users or having business users bring all their various data sources into Power BI is fast and easy. Now, with some of the marketing out there, you would believe that that is the case. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with what they're saying, but again, being able to do it fast and easy is just, again, something people realize very quickly is not true. Because if I'm mapping, like let's say, for example, you have Dynamics Nav and you have CRM, right? And so there's opportunity amounts or something within CRM that's related back to a customer that you have within Dynamics Nav. There's what's called a unique identifier that links those two pieces of information together. And if someone doesn't know where that relationship is or how to write the code to match them together, there is no fast and easy process to that. And if something changes as well, say the business shifts and you decide to change some of that underlying information, it's something you're going to have to go back and change now. So you have your dashboard, it's working great today, but if something changes, again, you're going to have to go back. And so the last one here, creating custom calculations, quick and simple with Power BI. Very, very similar concept where if we're wanting something to change, or maybe profit is a really good example of a custom calculation. Like in general, there's a way that you're going to calculate profit, but sometimes within a business, if you're wanting to create key performance indicators that are specific to what you're measuring, whether it's seasonal or averages or building in things with different currency types, those calculations can be complex. And so building them out with Power BI is, again, something that's a little more time consuming and does require some technical expertise, which again is a lot of the reasons why people struggle when they do download Power BI. They're thinking it's going to be fast and easy. And so just to be clear, what Power BI is not, it's not an end-to-end solution when left solely in the hands of the average business user. I will put my hand up a million times. I am that person. I am the person who is overseeing a sales and marketing team here at Jet, and I'm tied into that ecosystem. And so when someone comes to ask me a question about whether certain regions, how they're doing, or who's basically responsible for what in terms of the revenue and costs and profit associated with that, I wouldn't know where to start if I opened up Power BI, because the data modeling background, I don't have that. And so it is one of the very core foundations to being able to open up Power BI day one and just start creating dashboards, is you do need a data modeling background. And so one of the advantages of kind of what we do is we provide a data warehouse in analysis service database. And so we're kind of leading into, what is that solution, right? How do I get out of this pickle and take advantage of Power BI? Another thing is the security, making sure, so let's say, for example, I'm sending this out to a regional financial analyst, and they're only responsible for a certain area of the country, but that country is broken out into different sections, different locations, there are different managers, and I really want them to see all of that, but I also want them to be able to send information to those managers to give some responsibility and some onus to those specific regions. Now, the security within Power BI is limited. And so when we're trying to provide users access and make sure that only the right people are seeing the right information at the right time, the difficult part for the average business users, they don't really know how to do that, right? They know they have this dashboard, they want to share it, but without an underlying data structure governing that process and providing a controlled environment, it requires a lot of ongoing IT involvement. And then again, last point, it's not a financial reporting tool. It's just not, right? So I think we can agree on that. So what is business intelligence? The reason I and our customers have asked us actually to go through this particular slide is there's a lot of misconceptions about what BI is, right? And this is the BI process. Business intelligence has got this misconception for being a different to everybody. Like everybody has a different opinion on what BI is, but really there's some core components to this. The core components are taking the information, moving it into a controlled environment, which is extraction and data cleansing. So when we're cleaning information, we're applying business rules, we're making sure that the information is accurate and that there's a very strong set of security around that information. When we move into data warehousing, what that does is it takes all of your disparate systems, so whether you have multiple systems or not, the relevant data only is what's placed into the data warehouse. And so we can connect to as many systems as we want. We actually have even universal connectors. We connected to things like Google Analytics and Facebook and some really, really great stuff that our customers are doing. But once it's all housed in a centralized location, now not only do you have relevant data for reporting that's in plain English, but you also have history. You have historical reporting that's much, much simpler for the average business person. And then we would even take it a step further. If you want to put information into cubes, we do at Jet, because it's going to be the fastest, easiest, simplest way to create both reports and dashboards with dimensionality and performance indicators. And then really the last piece is the visualization. How does it look, right? And I know that's important. That is important, which is why we do all seem to kind of flock to the Power BI dashboards, because they look awesome. But there's this old adage in, bad data in, bad data out, right? And so controlling how the information is flowing is of vital importance, right? Because we can make bad data look pretty. And so there's two pieces, right? We're talking about a back-end BI, which is if I'm building a house, I think of it as the foundation. It's messy, it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, and even if it's off by a half an inch or less, it can throw the entire building off. And so the foundation, when it's being laid, it doesn't look sexy, it doesn't look appealing, but it's very, very important. And so that's back end BI, that's management of the information. And then the next piece is the house itself, right? So the visualization, how does it look? Wow, that house looks wonderful, right? But nobody wanted to be there for the digging and laying of the foundation of that house. It was messy, right? And so that's really what we do here at Jet, is we handle the messy and tough and time-consuming work of getting all your information into one place, creating a very, very strong foundation for which now you can report and visualize the information off of. And so Power BI, as we've seen, even from Microsoft itself, said it is a data visualization tool. It is meant for consumption of information. And so when you combine the two, you're really getting the best of both worlds. So just at a high level, just kind of step back to make sure this is making sense, is think of, so we have these three systems over here. So you have maybe a legacy database of some sort that has your historical information. CRM is very common, and then your Dynamics database. And so that flows into a manager of your information, which is the true, it's a true database management system. It's proprietary to us. And it does automate the moving and aggregation of that information. So it's actually going to provide results 5 times faster than if you were doing this on your own, if you were trying to build a database from scratch. But all the prominent Power BI bloggers, they all agree that if you're wanting to have actionable information that's secured, controlled, and governed through Power BI, you want to be using analysis services. So we're all built on the Microsoft technology, and we flow it all through analysis services. And so now you can use the data warehouse, you can use the cube, and really now it's up to you. Do I want to do financial reporting in Excel? Do I want to do reporting on operational or financial information in the web? Do I want to use Power BI? And so these are all three very real, relevant options that our clients are presented with when they have made an investment into Jet Analytics. Is I have the foundation. How I want to view this information is now up to me. And if something changes, what's great is I have this strong engine behind me that is the same engine powering both small and Fortune 500 companies alike, that is going to provide me results when I want them. And so the team at Innovia, they have a lot of experience with Jet, and they're going to be able to assist with this process. And so I'd encourage you. I know this is just kind of a overview, but this is really where BI lives, is in the foundation, right? And visualizing it is kind of the neat part. And so that's what we're going to move into next, is the solution, right? When you take Power BI, you combine it with a data warehouse and cubes, you're maximizing your value, because now more people are going to be able to use it day one. You're not going to be tied down with the time-consuming task of making sure people have access to the right information, where there's an inherent security model that we build in, and we can build in once, and even have roles defined, and really make sure that it's controlled and governed. And the next piece is that now that more people are using it, what's great is you're probably going to create some more dashboards, because instead of just the one or two that you've been trying to get by with, it's just instrumentally easier to now create more. And so a lot of what we do when we're connecting into our system, in a lot of the videos you may have seen on YouTube, or you may have seen through Innovia, is in Excel. And so that's really the intent of today, is to show you just how simple it is to start connecting into this stuff with Power BI as well. And so I'm actually going to hop out of here. And we've actually gotten so good at this that over time we've developed some out-of-the-box Power BI dashboards that are closely related to what you would need day one, right? Balance sheet, income statements from our finance cube, sales by region and sales by customer from the sales cube. But with Jet Analytics, you receive both the data warehouse and 7 pre-built cubes, all of which actually install in 2 hours. So within a 2-hour period, you could have a data warehouse and cube with Power BI and actually create dashboards just like you're seeing here. And so from our perspective, that's really where the value comes in for our end users. When we're seeing feedback, we see feedback from them about immediate return on investment, is because a lot of this is actually built ahead of time. It's really 90% of what most people are wanting is built, because we've actually installed, since 2011, we've averaged about 1 installation per business day. And so there's a lot of people moving into this type of tool, because it does provide that trend analysis that they're looking for. And so again, there is actually a link in the chat that I believe is is this one here, where you can actually slice and dice the information, so you can see actually how something like this would work. So typically when we load into Power BI, there's nothing over here, right? There's no information for me to pull from. But when I have myself connected to the Jet Cube, we see this. So if I click on a visualization, we can see we've literally clicked 3 boxes and we've created a short-term liabilities visual, right? And so we can do things like these performance tiles, which is great. But again, it's meant to span every aspect of what you could be doing. We have a lot of customers in the manufacturing industry, so we have a inventory type dashboard. This is one of my favorites, where you have value by product group. You've literally clicked 6 boxes. Payables and receivables. This is a great way where if I created this dashboard and I sent it to the managing supervisor for those departments, they would just be able to slice and dice on the information and find out what is the most meaningful or relevant information for them to spend their time on. That's usually the big question of the day is you have those processes in place, but if you're traveling or if you're maybe in a place where you're just kind of learning how to do something like this, the learning curve is shortened and you're now untethered from a typical PC type environment, right? And so I'm just going to show you what it looks like to build something like this from scratch. Because again, I think a part of this, right, is the seeing is believing. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a new dashboard here. And so to the point, the points that we made, the first question it's asking me is, where's your data? Right? And so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, let me get some data. And so my, oh, is it loading somewhere? There it is. And so what it does is it's going to ask you, okay, where's that information, right? Is it in Excel? Is it in a folder somewhere? And that's really where we start kind of finding ourselves in the first question is, well, I don't know necessarily where my data is. And so if we connect to our SQL Server database, what it's going to present to us is every single table and field that we could possibly pull information from. And so I can actually show you that real quick. Let me do that. But again, one of the confusing pieces is, okay, well, I don't really know. And so if we open up this demo database here, you can see again, now we're presented with the traditional burden that I alluded to, which is understanding the underlying information. So a lot of what we're seeing here may make sense to some people, but the average business person is a bit lost. They're trying to find, okay, well, what is that table? What exactly do I need from this information? And so that's really where they kind of get stuck is how do I get that information out, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. Then we'll go ahead and get data again. And so in this time, instead of going on our own, I'm going to take the advice of those Power BI bloggers, and I'm going to actually leverage a analysis services database, which in our case is our cubes. And so I'm going to go, again, mine's all local, but your information, right? It could be an app in the cloud. It could be your Business Central environment in the cloud. That's we're ready for that. And so I don't want you to necessarily worry about that. But when I click into like this sales cube, this could be pulling, and it is actually pulling from multiple places. But now I'm just presented with reporting and analytics in plain English, right? And so I'll just click on a visualization, and you can do all kinds of stuff with the visualization itself. But I'm just going to grab, we'll grab our sales, and we'll grab our salesperson, right? And so I'll split this out, and actually maybe I want to sort this by sales in order, right? So you can do a lot of great things in terms of moving that information, and then maybe we want to see like a pie chart where instead of the actual individuals, maybe we'll want to see who the manager is, right? Who's the manager responsible for that? Maybe we'll pull these down. And one of the great visualizations that I see all the time, and it's typically associated with something not quite as relevant to business as something like crime rates or something, is this map. So this heat map. So if I want to see, we'll see sales by, let's see, let's do city. So it'll zoom into the map there. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. So you can pull like a donut chart into here, but as you can see, I'm not being asked to say, okay, what table is that information coming from? Where does that information live? It's all done ahead of time. So the average business person can come in here and just click some boxes and create really any kind of visuals that they want out of Power BI. And that's the power. That's really what people are looking for, is the ability to have that information at their fingertips instead of having to wait for someone to create it for them. So that's really what the experience is like for creating a dashboard from scratch. Is now I can slice and dice on this information and create some really great stuff. And again, there are on our website, if I go back to the website here, if we scroll down to the bottom, there's a sample report section. And right within here, you can actually choose what reports or dashboards you want to see. And so you can see there's even some more Power BI examples, but there's some really great things that we've done over time with customers similar to you that would be very relevant and meaningful that you will receive day one. And as you can see here, we have some other dashboards that are not necessarily in Power BI. And so with Jet Analytics, you do receive a data visualization engine. It actually lives in the web. And so what it does very well is it allows you to visualize that information directly in our web portal. The web portal is now called the Jet Hub, but really that's what it's designed to do. And actually, is a great addition to Power BI, because with the two combined, not only do you have a centralized location for those dashboards that's mobile, but you also have the ability to use Power BI if you want to do maybe some of the more advanced visualizations like the heat maps and things like that. So that's really what it is that we bring to the table when you're looking at Jet and Power BI, because we're going to bring you the financial reporting, the foundation for your visualization platform, and then the ability to have visuals and reports in the web and then directly plug into Power BI day one. And so that was really the intent of today, is to make sure that people really understood what it is that Jet Analytics and Power BI bring to the table for your organization. And the last piece I want to share with you, this is a link, and I'm more than happy to send this presentation out to anyone who would like. But this link here is the documentation that Microsoft recommends for anybody who's deploying Power BI to go through. Now, the documentation itself, it's over 100 pages. And so that's really, again, to the point, if you're still not convinced, right, go take a look at what it is that you would have to go through to actually create a successful corporate-wide, unified and secure environment for all your Power BI dashboards. And that's really why in this day and age, it's vitally important to understand the difference between back-end BI and front-end BI. Like, how does it look? So again, thank you everybody for being here. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some of your time back here. And I know Angie has some things to close out with, but now would be a good time to, if you have questions, comments, feedback, you place it in the chat box or in the question box. More than happy to answer that information. But yeah, again, thanks for being here, and Novia, thanks for having me.
All right, Mike, we do have a couple of questions. First, how does security work with this?
Yeah, great question. So security is all based on how it's really whatever you want it to be. The good news with Jet Analytics is it's its own database, and so you can get as custom with that security as you want, meaning You can get as granular as row level security or as custom with your roles as well. So if someone, for example, the reason it's important is a lot of times in a company, roles change or they continue to add positions or change positions. That role-based security means you can transfer those permissions in between users, so you're not left having to start from scratch. It's very customizable. Good question.
And another question that we have is, how difficult is it to customize our own cubes?
That actually is a question we get a lot. And so I'm not exactly sure if that question is alluding to cubes that they already have, or cubes that would be coming with Jet, but I can answer both. One is, if you have your own cubes, that is something that I would probably work with Innovia with if you have questions about how to customize those. On our side of the tracks, we use a proprietary tool called the Jet Data Manager. And so it allows us to customize the cubes 5 times faster than traditional BI methodology. And so it's really just a matter of you letting us know what's the outcome. What is the outcome that you're looking for? Is there a calculation that you're wanting to build in? And then the team at Innovia and the team at Jet will kind of come together and provide that solution to you. Usually within a 2-week span, you can get a customization rolled out.
All right, great. Thank you very much. If anyone else has any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact the team at Jet Global, or you can contact Innovia, and we can see what we can do to help answer those questions. And thank you, Mike, for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call, or if you are watching on demand, thank you for joining us. And we do have a few more webinars coming soon. On Thursday this week, February 21st, we have Giuseppe Ianni from Sana Commerce. He will be presenting on 3 reasons why integrated e-commerce is the answer to your reoccurring digital challenges. And this webinar is geared toward manufacturers. And we have Holly Kudel from Innovia Consulting, and she will be presenting on role centers. That webinar is on Tuesday, February 26th. So if you're interested in any of our webinars, please don't hesitate to sign up for those. And then we have Focus coming up in March in Houston, Texas. Focus is a 2-day deep dive training event to help you get a deeper understanding of your Microsoft Dynamics Nav, Power BI, and Business Central systems. And to learn more about Focus and to get all the details for this conference, you can visit our conference page on our website, and that's innovia.com/conferences. If you are interested, please feel free to register. And then Innovia Consulting is having our annual customer conference coming up on April 24th and 25th in the Wisconsin Dells. This event is free to attend for all of our current and prospective customers. Contact your rep or visit our conference page, innovia.com/conferences, where it will have all the details for the conference. We would love to have you attend. Please register. The hotel rooms are going fast. All right, thank you everyone again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.